They Killed My Father. Only if it happened like this. First They Killed My Father is a Netflix movie based on the true story of a refugee from the Khmer Rouge. Now, the Khmer Rouge is the largest genocide of Southeast Asia, killing an estimation of about 3 million people in a population of only 7 million, with only 1 to 2 million deaths actually reported. Now, the Khmer Rouge is a very significant event because for many Cambodians, it has given a lot of post-trauma stress disorder as well as different ideals that had to comply to the communist orders. My family has gone through this experience themselves and has had a hard time transitioning from Cambodia, from their very horrid childhood, all the way to America, the land of the free. I myself have also been experienced an event directly correlated to the Khmer Rouge today, due to its long-term effects. Now, the Khmer Rouge is a communist party ruled by Pol Pot in the 1970s of Cambodia. What they planned to do was to create a Cambodian master race through social engineering with an emphasis on agriculture. The Khmer Rouge gained power over Phnom Penh, the capital of Cambodia, and after that, it all went downhill. I remember my dad and my aunt telling me about how clearly they remember the Khmer Rouge breaking in and invading into both the family business and the house. The family got split up. My grandpa was able to escape to a different city, Siem Reap, with 2 of his children, while my grandma was only with 4 of the children and ended up getting swept away by the Khmer Rouge and placed in concentration camps. Just a little warning, these pictures are going to be pretty intense, but they do help illustrate the intensity of the Khmer Rouge. No one was able to escape from torture in the Khmer Rouge, especially those with an education. The Khmer Rouge believed that anyone with an education should be immediately punished and executed. According to Vulcan World Bank's socio-demographic Khmer Rouge, a former torturer of the S-21 base, one of the biggest security bases of the Khmer Rouge, admitted to torturing even women and children in his open argument. Males in the school age in the 1970s were greatly affected due to the very large hate towards the education the Khmer Rouge had. Many of the males were executed. Therefore, today, people in that age range have very low education as a result. The question still remains, were the torturers torturing the people because they believed what the Khmer Rouge had believed in, or were they torturing others just to solely save themselves out of desperation and the ones that they loved? I remember my aunt telling me exactly how she was frequently tortured. They tied up her hands and her wrists and drowned her in the water. They would do that to her every single day, and she would struggle to hold her breath. Sadly, this is merely a statistic overall. About 80% of Cambodians reported experienced violence, as according to Hinton and Navarro's Truth, Trauma, and Victim of Torture Project. 28.4 reportedly suffer from PTSD, 11.5% suffer from mood disorder, 40% suffer from anxiety disorder, 90% suffer from a loss of a family or friend, and 99% reported starvation. My grandma recalls that one day she thought it was going to be all right, but they pulled her aside and they put one of her sons right in front of her and they shot him right in front of her. That trauma that my grandma had experienced was just so heart-wrenching that she wanted to end it herself as well. Sadly, this is what all of the Cambodians had to go through, yet it is still very unknown today. The war ended with the help of foreign forces. The Vietnam troops invaded Cambodia in hopes to stop the Khmer Rouge and the Communist Party. Sadly, the Vietnam help had rose more questions. Did they simply help fight the Khmer Rouge in order to help Cambodia as a whole, or did they actually want to take over themselves? This question is still up for debate. Pol Pot died in his sleep, speculated to have committed suicide in order to avoid torture and capture from the US. Life in Cambodia and life of Cambodians outside of Cambodia was never the same. According to an article titled Cambodia After the Khmer Rouge, 4 years after the war, Cambodia was never the same again. They had trouble building up their political system. Everyone was still starving. All the houses and all the buildings were burnt down. They had nothing. Their population was nearly cut in half. Many Cambodians migrated to Long Beach, California, where I am from as well. Long Beach, California is the largest population of Cambodians outside of Cambodia today, and even established a Cambodia town. Although the war is now in the past, many Cambodians still do suffer from long-term effects of the war. They do not value education. That's something I struggled with growing up. My grandma thought that education was something that is not necessary, it's evil, because of all the torture and all of the trauma she had gone through. Many Cambodians had thought the same way. However, with the modernization of America and living here now with their own rights and their own thoughts and their own freedom, they're slowly becoming able to understand the real way of life and get rid of the brainwashing done by the Communist Party. That's not over though. In 2016, Hun Manait, son of Hun Sen, which is one of the commanders of the Khmer Rouge, had hosted a political party to help his campaign at my parents' restaurant. Many Cambodians were furious. Many riots were taking place that day, that week. Our restaurant got called many names. We couldn't refuse to host a party for him because we needed the money. It was our desperation. I clearly remember that day. I was working behind the back counter, helping my mom, when out of nowhere, hundreds and hundreds of people came banging on our windows and all of our doors. We upped our security that day, and things still got too crazy. Riots everywhere around the block. And eventually the police had to throw tear gas into the restaurant in order to help the rioting stop. These everlasting effects still affect many people today, yet it is still very unknown. Many people don't even know where Cambodia is, or that Cambodia is even a country. First, they killed my father. The Netflix movie I once watched with my grandma. I remember her crying, and she told me that this is real, but it's so much worse than this. If only it was this intensity.